You're listening to Miss Style, Strength, and Grace with Deidra Murphy. This is your one-stop shop for style, fashion, health, and fitness. Deidra's passion is to help empower women to reach their fullest potential, both inside and out. Deidra and her guests will be discussing how to develop your style, health, and lifestyle hacks to energize your day and inspire you to keep reaching higher levels of success. Deidra is a professional fashion stylist, health guru, and Mrs. Washington 2017. It's time to get open and honest with Deidra.
Well, hello and welcome to the Miss Style, Strength, and Grace podcast. I am super excited to introduce today's guest. Although I've never actually met her, I feel like I know her and she's like a sister from afar. Our husbands actually used to work together in Texarkana as chiropractors, and so my husband actually interned with her husband down in Texarkana. And I just really wanted to take a second here to introduce her. So she's an amazing woman. Her name is Katie J, and she truly does it all. So she's a singer, a songwriter, model, makeup artist, as well as a health and lifestyle coach. By the age of 17, she'd already performed in Carnegie Hall and walked the runway of New York Fashion Week as a model. She's also excited to release her new R&B album in 2018 with a press and a tour, and right now her current single is called Elusive, so find that on YouTube and other platforms like iTunes. When she's not singing or recording music, she's also passionate about skincare and makeup, has been a makeup artist and in the beauty industry since the age of 19, and even featured on numerous magazines and websites like channellomari.com. When it comes to health and lifestyle coaching, she's developed a system for helping women not only balance hormones, lose weight, all while providing delicious recipes that she herself has created. I'm really excited to have her on all the way from Texas today, so welcome, Katie.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and be talking with you and meeting you for the first time. It's so fabulous.
Me too. Well, since this is the Miss Style, Strength, and Grace podcast, I wanted to cover, obviously all those topics. Grace is kind of sprinkled throughout, but always about more like the style and the fashion. How did you get into modeling? Obviously, you're a phenomenally beautiful woman, so let's talk about that.
Sweet. I started modeling. It really just happened because of my music. I was constantly performing around in Minneapolis at the time, and when you're working as a musician, you always have to do a photo shoot or something like that for pictures and press and whatever. And I would just meet really great photographers, and they kind of started being like, hey, you should model, or do you model, or hey, we want to introduce you to this person. And it just one thing would lead to the other, and before you knew it, I would just get gigs as a model. And then everything has happened by chance, I would say, in my life when it comes to stuff like that. I've never considered myself a model, but I have to put it on my resume because I've done it for so long now, if that makes sense. But it was never something that I thought I was going to do. I just fell into it. And then opportunities would come up and I'd say, yeah, I definitely want to do it. My motto is always say yes to life, and then it just happens.
That's amazing. What kind of opportunities did modeling present you with?
Well, it would start with, a clothing boutique here, a clothing boutique there would want me to do it. And then, before you knew it, was hair care companies contacting me. And I got a billboard at one point, which was super cool. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, I'm on a billboard. That was fun. And then it got me New York Fashion Week because honestly, my makeup artist got me Fashion Week. I was doing makeup, and I met a woman who owned the clothing line, and she loved me, and she said, listen, I think you should model for me. And I did, and then she called and said, actually, I want you to open New York Fashion Week for me. And I did.
How old were you at that time?
And I just was like, sure.
And that's when you were only, 17, right?
No. That was, I did Carnegie Hall at 17. Actually, I walked New York Fashion Week. This is funny. She had a teen clothing line, and I walked it a year ago at 35. And I opened at 35 years old, opened New York Fashion Week for a teen clothing line because they thought I was
oh my goodness, no big deal. It's all that great skincare tips and everything. We're going to talk about that.
Exactly.
Aging gracefully, right?
Yes, gracefully we're going to age.
We're just never going to get old.
Never.
I wanted to talk about modeling as a profession, but not only what has it taught you as a person, but how did you manage to stay grounded as an individual with an industry that is all about the outer perception?
Oh, that's a good question. I think for me, because I never allowed myself to get too caught up in that, if that makes sense at all. I never went the agency route. I always stayed very independent, and I think there was a really good reason why I did that, because I think with an agency, while they're great and they can get you a lot of work, you're constantly going to go-sees and you're constantly showing up. I would get hired just based on, hey, we just like you, we worked with you, hey, we want to book you for another one, and I would just show up. But if you have to go to constant go-sees and constantly hear that rejection, I got to tell you, that would be really exhausting, and I don't know how they do it all the time. I think that's really hard. And the other thing is just, truthfully, I've never based who I am on my looks, if that makes any sense for people. I don't think it's good to do that. I think you can say, this is a great opportunity and I'm lucky that I got it, and I'm really thankful for that, but that is not who I am. And if that was all that I had, I would be nothing.
Oh, yeah. So, absolutely. It's that whole thing, like, you could be pretty on the outside but have no substance on the inside, and it doesn't do anything.
Right.
If somebody
right. And for me...
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead. I was just going to say, for me, that's always been the case. I've gone through so many ugly duckling stages in my life that I know what it's like to not be the cute girl. So, it means nothing. Beauty is fading.
Yeah. So tell me about that.
Yeah.
Like, tell me about some of your ugly duckling stories, because I'm sure when I have your photo on my website with your headshot, everyone's gonna be like, "What? She's
Trust me, if you saw what I used to look like, and I know people say that, and then you see the pictures. I mean, I was cute, but I went through really gawky stages where I was always very, very thin. So leggings would be baggy on me. That's not a good look. And big glasses and, bad haircuts and bad perms that were, up to my cheekbones, and just awkward, gangly stages. And I had, my spinal condition where it was kind of like caused a hump on my back, and being very thin and young at that age, it definitely showed more at that time. And it was something that I was teased about all the time and made fun of for. So I was very self-conscious and care about my back and what I looked like. And then when I would stand straight and go into physical therapy, people would make fun of me. Oh, well, she's standing straight, she must be stuck up. Kids are crazy. So I never gave really two thoughts about my looks. It was more like, oh my gosh, just like, don't make fun of my back today or something. So
how did that bullying, especially growing up and being a young girl, how did that shape you into the woman you are today?
I think for me, it just really taught me that, well, I have a lot of empathy for a lot of people. It built empathy, I think, within me. I can see someone else's situation, and at the time, it guarded me. I was very careful about the people that I allowed into my life, but at the same time, I think it just made me a better person in general. I don't know how to say that, but I think when someone really hurts you and attacks who you are, you have two choices. You can either lay down and be sad about that, which I did at the time, or you can say, you know what, that's okay. I'm going to love who I am, and I'm going to do what I love. And music was what I loved, so I threw myself into that, and I became really good at what I was doing, and that's what my passion was. So I didn't allow them to keep me down, if that made sense, and it helped me to just be strong.
I love that. When it came to like modeling and, obviously you said you're naturally really thin, did you ever struggle in this area to maintain a certain figure or a certain look?
Oh my gosh. So when I hit my 30s, it's like everything changed. I don't know what the flip happened, but you just wake up one day and you're like, friggin', that was not there yesterday. Like, what is going on?
Did somebody sneak in and tie these jeans up or cinch these jeans up smaller on me? Like, what happened?
Yes, it's like, this is not what I looked like yesterday, And things changed, and I hit an area actually where I'd gone from being able to eat anything that I wanted or do anything that I wanted to actually putting on weight. And it wasn't like I was going to the gym and building muscle, so that was not what I was gaining. And it wasn't healthy, and I put on, a good 15 to 20 extra pounds pretty quickly, and it was probably, I'd say, about 2 to 2.5 years ago that happened. And I wouldn't say that was like, I don't want to say that was overweight, but I was definitely not looking healthy. I was very inflamed. You could see it in my face. I was definitely, it wasn't muscle that I had gained, so it wasn't flattering. I was holding it hormonally, so my abs and my thighs and those areas had kind of gotten puffier. My arms were looking nice and puffy as well. And I really had to start looking into what was going on with my health, because all the things that I used to be able to eat and do, and I was eating a ketogenic, I was on a ketogenic lifestyle plan. I was working out. It wasn't like I wasn't doing the right thing, so it wasn't making sense why I was gaining this weight. So we really had to look at what was going on hormonally. I did some testing, found out that I was allergic to food. Been eating on a ketogenic diet, you're eating nuts, you're eating cheeses, you're eating eggs. I was eating like eggs every day, only to find out that I have the highest allergy to eggs and dairy and gluten. So all three of those things, even though I was gluten-free, there were still like non-gluten things that I was eating that I was having reactions to, like almond flour, for example. The prolamines were not doing me any justice. So I was holding on to all this extreme water and inflammation, and it was causing me migraines, and there were so many symptoms outside of just hives and rashes that were happening, and that's why I was putting on the weight, to be honest with you, which was crazy. So once I cut that stuff out of my diet and just really, I kind of did a clean. I did a brief version of our Happy Healthy program. I did about 2 weeks just because I needed to clean out everything and be really, 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 really strict. And I dropped it almost overnight. And if I don't eat those foods, I can maintain anything. But that's totally different than what I used to be when I was young. I mean, that's crazy to me that I'm allergic to dairy, of all things. I love dairy.
I hear you. I don't have a severe allergic reaction to dairy, but I cut it out a few years back and then reintroduced it and got really sick, and that's when I learned, hey, it's just not worth it. I mean, every once in a while,
not worth it.
Ice cream is worth it for me sometimes, but the next day I definitely pay for it. So.
Me too. Like, if I have it, I just know, I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to be swollen. This is not going to be good. I got about 5 days of healing to do after this.
But hey, every once in a while, like at New Year's Eve, I had some ice cream. I'm like, you know what? It is what it is.
Is what? Right.
I do want to go down the route of health and fitness in a little bit, but there's a few more, fashion and style questions and beauty questions that I wanted to touch on first before we go that route. Yeah. Obviously, I didn't mention it in my introduction, but you work at a med aesthetics spa. So tell me a little bit about that. And then when it comes to, maintaining your youthful glow, do you have any tips and tricks that you love to share?
Yes. Well, I have loved the aesthetic field for years. That has been outside of music, that's my passion. I have been doing makeup since I was 19, and I have been working in the medical spas since I was 24. So I think that clinical skincare is a really good way to start. So some people might not want to do clinical, but there are good organic clinical skincare out there for those that want to stay really organic and pure. I love Eminence. That's one of the skincare lines I use. Image Skincare has a really good organic line within it as well. So I love both of those lines. And when you use something that's clinical, you're going to go deeper into the dermis and actually start to give your skin change. And you can actually start repairing damage at a cellular level when you do a clinical skincare versus an over-the-counter skincare. So I think that's really important. And then maintaining, I always do microdermabrasions, and I do different peels that are really natural peels. You can do lactics and things like that help to brighten and keep the skin toned. And then, of course, we know that there are things that maybe aren't quite as natural that you can do as well, which are, Botox or lasers or different things like that. Lasers are actually great to rejuvenate the skin and tighten it and firm it and tone it and give you a brand new lease on life. So, but clinical skincare, regular skin routine, microdermabrasions, I've been doing those for literally since I was 19. I used to choose at 19 dinner or a microderm. I would get the microderm. You're like, I'm going to go get a microdermabrasion. I chose my skin. And lots of water, and then, of course, what you put into your body. So the nutrients that you give your body, how you eat. If I'm eating the foods I'm allergic to, I'm bound to have breakouts. My skin looks dull and tired. My hormones kind of come into play. I can get melasma. if I'm eating foods that are clean and pure that my body loves and accepts, I'm drinking water and I'm healthy, skin clears up and I have a glow.
Yeah, it's so true. I had, like I was saying, over New Year's, I had some cheats. I mean, I don't even consider them necessarily like cheats. I don't want to look at it that way, but, you know, different than what I would normally eat. And this whole last week, I'm like, oh, why am I so broken out? And I'm thinking, oh, it's all the sugar and the sweets that I had over the holidays. So I hear you. It definitely makes a big impact what we put in our bodies and how it affects our outer skin and makeup.
Absolutely.
Or not just makeup, but our skincare. I do love that you mentioned, you know, some natural routes like lasers. Obviously, that's not putting some sort of toxic chemical on your skin. What any other like organic beauty brands or products that you've been just loving and obsessing over?
My favorite one, honestly, is I'm an Eminence freak. I've actually been using Eminence for years and years and years, so that's one of my favorites. And then there's another company that I do work with called Lumivera. And I think they've got really amazing products. Everything that they use is superfoods, so they're putting superfoods into their products to create. They kind of combine science. Well, they don't kind of. They do combine science with natural, beautiful products. So I love their stuff as well. But any kind of mask, whether it's a pumpkin mask or a strawberry rhubarb mask or an oxygenating mask, any of those kind of masks, I do them at least once a week. And those you can find within the Eminence or Lumivera lines.
Are there any at-home, like DIY masks that you have created? And if so, would you mind sharing like those?
My favorite one is to just simply take, so I love doTERRA oils. I use them on the regular. And actually, they've got really good skincare as well if you want. But I will take like coconut oil, and then I'll take a bunch of sugar. I mean, it's got to be the raw, natural, organic, but you're not eating it. So I use it as a natural exfoliant. And then a bit of lemon oil, not a lot, because it will peel the skin. So maybe like 2 to 3 drops of lemon oil. And then lavender is my saving grace. I use lavender from doTERRA on my face like you would not believe. Every night I put it on my face. It'll get rid of a zit overnight. Lavender oil alone is like unbelievable. So I'll do that and I'll make like a scrub and I'll put it all over my face and it'll exfoliate my skin. But the coconut oil leaves this beautiful like glow, hydrated feel. The lemon kind of brightens and tones the skin, and then the calming and soothing and antibacterial and antimicrobial and all of those good things.
Ooh, I'm definitely have to try that.
Yeah.
I've done lavender like on blemishes and even frankincense. I call Botox in a bottle. It is so anti-aging. I mean, it's an embalming ancient oil, and that's what they use on Jesus. So I'm like, I'm using the Jesus oil.
Oh my gosh, immortal. Just put that all over your forehead and around your eyes. It is. It's Botox in a bottle. I've said that 100 times. I say that all the time. It's true. Frankincense is Botox in a bottle. It actually does something to the muscle that tightens it.
Oh.
No. I mean, it really actually does. There's research that shows that it will go in, and it's kind of like, there's another product out there that will do that, but it will actually tighten it.
I'm going to definitely have to start using frankincense around my crow's feet to help with that aging process.
That's what we're going to do. Frankincense all day.
I love it. So kind of switching gears and going back to what you referred to about health and wellness, was there something in your life that was kind of the catalyst for getting you involved and learning more about health and wellness and fitness and nutrition? Tell me more about your story.
Well, I mean, definitely I was always interested in being healthy, but I probably didn't know what that meant in my 20s. I just thought if I went to the gym and, drank a sugary smoothie, that was going to make me healthy. But I really didn't understand health until I moved to Texarkana. And obviously, Randy had a huge impact on that for sure. I mean, his story and what he'd been through, I really had to make a choice as to what I was going to do. As far as cooking for him, like he just led a very different lifestyle than I did. And so for me, it was either I was going to learn how to do that and learn how to cook for him and learn how to kind of take on a completely different way of living or not do it at all. And I took it on.
So tell me a little bit about that, because obviously like my listeners may not understand or know the story behind it. Randy Johns is her husband and he battled cancer. So tell me a little bit about that struggle and how he overcame it in a natural way.
Yeah, so he was given, I'll just give the short version of it, but he was given 2 weeks to 2 years to live, best case scenario. And he had, stage 4 malignant melanoma. And basically he was told that if he were to do chemo, he wouldn't have a quality of life. And so he went to Spain and ended up getting natural treatments out there. And he could speak more to the types of treatments that he had out there. But, within 6 to 8 weeks, he was cleared of cancer. And that's a pretty miraculous story. And then, he went out for subsequent just follow-ups and checkups. And he was checked. They checked him in the United States as well. And, he was clear. And so, and he has been. But for that, he really made some drastic changes to his health and like what he was eating. So he went on a really anti-inflammatory diet and really stayed away from grains and sugars and all of those things because cancer feeds on sugar. So you want to stay away from that. Worked out a lot and just kind of was living a very, very, very clean lifestyle. And he had people that were cooking for him when I met him. And I was like, oh my gosh, like if I'm going to cook for this person, like the rest of my life, like how am I going to do this? Because I was not used to looking at ingredients on labels. I wasn't used to, a lot of people don't know how to do that. It's overwhelming in and of itself, but I didn't know anything about organic shopping. Like I just didn't really understand. And so I feel like I just put myself into boot camp. I was like, let me just figure this out because I love food and I love cooking. So I thought, let me learn how to live this very anti-inflammatory life. And for me, it ended up being really a good thing too, because I dealt with a lot of aches and pains with my spinal condition. And like I said, when I hit my 30s and I was having issues with allergies, it was very easy to make a quick change because I already knew the right things to do. So, that is the catalyst for why I kind of completely got into it. And then, of course, we've owned health companies and we've helped people lose weight, and that's been a huge passion of mine. I like helping people change their life from the inside out. So not only do I want you to feel beautiful on the inside, but I want you to feel beautiful on the outside. So we'll help you lose the weight and then we'll give you a makeover. We do it all.
And then I can help with style and fashion. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
So when it came to like learning about anti-inflammatory foods, what kind of foods are inflammatory that you would recommend people to kind of maybe stay away from, or not just stay away from altogether, but at least reduce the amount that they're eating? And what does inflaming foods, like what kind of effect does that have on the body?
Well, anything that causes inflammation, I tell people, anyone that struggles with like fibromyalgia, aches and pains, all of those kind of, just even feeling chronically tired, feeling like you've got, people will come in and say, oh, I just feel like I'm so swollen. You can tell your brain doesn't come off as easy. You're going like, ooh, something's just not right with me. You're retaining water more.
Even arthritis symptoms.
Exactly. And so I always just say grains of any sort. I'm not saying that they're bad for you. And some people can handle them just fine, by the way. But a lot of people, if you want to go anti-inflammatory, you want to eat really lean, healthy, organic, hormone-free meats. And you want to have healthy fats in your diet that are going to be good for you, that aren't going to be toxic. So avocado oils, SCT oil, that's a short-chain triglyceride oil. That's something that my husband formulated. It's a fabulous product. Coconut oil, cooking with anything like that, real butter, real fats. I cook with duck fat a lot. I love it. I think it's fabulous. But anything that's going to be good that your body can actually break down and process, and that's real. Eating real foods, vegetables, greens, as much leafy greens as you can possibly get are fabulous. But I don't know. I keep it really simple. We do eat pretty simply. It's vegetables. It's healthy. It's fresh salads. I don't use salad dressings. I'm really careful. I make my own salad dressings, extra virgin olive oil, and then whatever ingredients I decide to put in, apple cider vinegar, lemon, lime, who knows? I do a bunch of different things. But everything is kind of from scratch, and it's not buying the processed stuff. It's buying real food and then cooking it and eating it.
Yeah. Well, and you're so busy. So, how do you find time to do all that? Making your own dressings and food and
I know, right? Woo! it's actually pretty easy to do, and that's why I do a lot of cookbooks and why I do a lot of like coaching people, because there's actually really easy ways to do that kind of stuff. But once you make it, if you make enough, you've got more for the week. You can just store it in your fridge and shake it up and use it at any time. But one of my favorite things to do, and this isn't probably always the best, but on days when it's really busy, I'll just go we have organic rotisserie chicken in town, and it's at least hormone-free, organic, like I love it, antibiotic-free, and we'll go pick it up, and then I'll just make a healthy fresh salad, and we'll do tomatoes, and just a nice Greek salad or something like that with it, and it's not a lot of prep time, and you've got your protein, and you've got your fats, and you've got your salad, and it's very easy. On the nights when I want to cook, just like anybody else, you come home and you cook your meal. During the day, we keep it really simple with the foods that we eat. I don't cook major lunches for us. It's more like salads, or honestly, I do a lot of fasting as well. So fasting can kind of help intermittently. So not every day am I eating lunch and dinner. Some days I'm just doing one meal, which might sound crazy to people, but puts you into high fat burning, and it's very anti-inflammatory. It can really reset your hormones, and it's a really good thing to do for your body every once in a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, one of my previous guests, we talked a little bit about intermittent fasting and how it can have such great effects on your body.
And super anti-aging.
Oh, yeah. I probably intermittent fast like 3 to 4 days a week, and it just honestly like really helps me reset my system and get going for the day. I know it sounds really weird, but like I'll drink coffee still in the morning, but I just don't put anything in there other than maybe some stevia.
Yeah, exactly.
Really does help reset your system, and it's easier the more you do it. I remember a couple years ago, actually, I had been diagnosed with pre-diabetes, and I had to do some intermittent fasting to help reset my system, and it was so hard at first. It was really hard, and I just had no energy, and then after a while, I kind of got used to it, and it's a lot easier now, and I think I'm a stronger person for it, like mentally and physically, especially the mental part.
Absolutely, you are. Absolutely, yeah.
You can do that.
That's not easy.
It's hard, yeah. So, what tips would you give somebody maybe that's starting out on their health journey, and maybe they don't like vegetables, or they don't know where to start? What tips would you give them?
I always say that it takes about 2 weeks to retrain your taste buds. Like, you have got to be willing to, and I always say this, food is not going to hurt you. So taste something once, and if you absolutely hate it, that's fine. You don't have to do it again, or give yourself a few weeks and reintroduce it. So first of all, it's going to take 2 weeks, but there are so many healthy ways to prepare vegetables. Like, that's actually the common thing that I get, like, vegetables, or I don't like them, or I don't like to eat them raw, or I just want to eat them with a bunch of ranch dressing. I totally get it, because like I used to be there too, and I used to be like that, but there are ways to reimagine how you eat your vegetables. So like, for example, today I'm working on recipes for Renew, and so I'm typing out a bunch of recipes, and one of them was caramelized Brussels sprouts. Well, Brussels sprouts cooked in bacon fat, that's, uncured, making bacon. For those that don't want bacon, don't worry, you don't have to have bacon. You can cook it in ghee or avocado oil. But
coconut oil is really yummy too.
Coconut oil is really good, but for those that do like bacon, which we do over here, or turkey bacon, whatever your choice, but you can actually cook it in that rendered fat, which is pretty amazing, and you can caramelize the sprouts on the skillet, and you can cook the onions and the bacon and everything, put it together, put a little organic balsamic in there, and it's probably one of the best things you'll ever have. It's so delicious. And healthy and good. And yeah, I love Brussels sprouts. Or just roasting them in the oven is a really simple way to make them really good. Cauliflower, like my favorite way to take cauliflower down is mashed potato cauliflower. I call it mashed potatoes.
Yeah, I call mine no mashed taters, but yeah, it's the same thing.
Exactly, that's all it is. And it's just, those are easy ways to do it, but it changes the texture, it changes the way it is. You can rice your cauliflower, you can turn your cauliflower into dough, you can do so many things with vegetables and reimagine the way that you're eating something. So you don't have to eat it exactly as it sits in the produce aisle.
You should like cut it up and just eat on it and munch on it. Even though I do that, I buy the little organic vegetable medleys of just like cauliflower, broccoli, and carrots, and I'll just sit there and munch on it with just salsa or something. And my husband will make fun of me like go in, but I'm like, hey, I do like it now, and I never liked vegetables growing up. Like I thought vegetables were either just frozen or from a can because that's all.
Me too.
I didn't know that you can do so much with vegetables. And if you want,
me too.
My listeners, just for a quick tip on the cauliflower, it's super easy. You just steam it, and then I just blend mine up with a little bit of butter, garlic, and honestly, it tastes like mashed potatoes. I actually took it to Thanksgiving dinner a couple of years ago, and my husband has an uncle that hates cauliflower. Like, he swears that he will never eat it. And I didn't tell him that my mashed potatoes were actually cauliflower. And he ate that up, went back for seconds. And then I told him after dinner that was actually cauliflower, and he couldn't believe me.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
No, that was potatoes. I was like, no, it's
so
good. So it's one of my favorite ways as well. When it comes to like developing your healthy meal recipes, how did you get going on that? Like, how did you come up with different ways to make vegetables or make them taste yummy?
I think just sheer boredom. No, I mean, I'll be honest. I think that because for the first few years anyway, I was constantly like cooking new recipes. But I felt like vegetables were always like, oh, just steam them, or, oh, just like in recipes that you would see. And I just was like bored with it. I was like, no, I do not want to just eat it steamed, or what's another way to prepare it? So I honestly just went on Google and started looking like, oh, how else could I make this? Or how else would this be good? Or what could I do? And then I just love fusing flavors together. So I'm a spice freak. So I love taking spices and kind of reinvigorating the way something tastes, or taking a classic thing that I used to love. It could be something as easy as tacos, which, I don't do a ton of tacos anymore, but I do like a chicken enchilada type casserole that's all healthy, all paleo. It uses coconut wraps instead. I mean, it's amazing. It's super good. But I like to reimagine all my favorite foods and do it all healthy. And I think that's what started it. It's just like everything I grew up wanting to eat, I wanted to make it, but do it the healthy way. So that's what started it.
I love that. Like, one easy way to start doing that is, say, like, take those tacos and put them in lettuce wraps rather than tortillas, or make a grain-free tortilla out of, say, coconut flour or almond flour. Obviously not almond flour in your case, but or even quinoa.
No, you can.
Tortillas out of quinoa flour once, and it's super good.
They're super good.
I was going to say. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say there's these coconut. I just love them. It's just coconut meat, and I don't even know if it has coconut flour in it. It's just like, I don't even understand these wraps. They're so good. They're like a paleo coconut wrap, and they are sweet and delicious. I use them for sandwiches. I use them for just like you would use any other kind of wrap, but they are so good. And the sweetness that they have when you make enchilada, because you can brown them up in butter, and they taste so crispy and amazing, and then load it up with all of your vegetables and meat, and then, make your green sauce or whatever kind that you want. I got to tell you, it's like the best thing ever. I'm obsessed.
So for my listeners that may not know much about fats, I wanted to quickly touch on, like, what are quote unquote unhealthy fats, and how should you avoid them, and why should you go more the route of like saturated fats like avocados, olive oil, coconut oil, butter, those things.
I just always, or canola oils, all of those kind of oils, those are just the type that are going to clog your arteries. They're going to cause bad fat in your body. It's the stuff that you don't want to have. I don't even want to say this because it just sounds so awful, but it's a nightmare waiting to happen inside of your body. Basically, you're clogging your arteries, and that's the best way that I can say it. And it's, for those of us who don't want cellulite, I call it cellulite in a bottle. I mean, you're putting fat into your body that your body can't break down and process, and it's going to turn rancid, because it is rancid. And so your body isn't going to take that down properly. And so you're going to start to see signs of aging. It's very aging. It's very inflammatory. Those can really inflame your body. And then again, of course, you're going to start getting multiple symptoms that you just don't need. I mean, it's just not necessary. It's bulking. It's all those things we don't want. So the healthy fats are those that your body, can break down. They're very anti-inflammatory. I just look at things as, to keep it simple for people, is it inflammatory or is it anti-inflammatory? So can my body process it? Can my body break it down? Am I going to have any gut reactions when I eat this and when I process it. And so if the answer is no, then I'm going to move towards a fat that's going to be good for me. So avocado oil has a high heat point. It doesn't denature when you're using it to cook. So it's awesome. Coconut oil is the same thing. SDT oil is the same thing. You've got this very high heat point. So you're not denaturing or changing the oil to become now a toxic inflammatory oil, if that makes any sense at all. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it
It's a lot of information for people. I always feel like it was overwhelming.
We could just have a whole podcast just on fats and rancid fats versus, saturated healthy fats.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the biggest thing is understanding that the healthy, natural fats are the ones that your body can break down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they can break it down. And they're going to keep you feeling good, looking good. And I always say this, if I would slather the oil on my face, I can put it inside my body. If I wouldn't slather it on my face, probably shouldn't put it in my body.
Oh, I love that, because I definitely use coconut oil too as a moisturizer, especially in the cold winter months, even just putting a layer on before bed. Your body really soaks it up, and then you wake up feeling really that nice dewy effect that we all want. It really
Oh yeah, and olive oil and avocado oil, all of those oils, any nut oils, macadamia nut oil, any of those, so good for the skin, and I can put them in my body and feel good about it too.
Love that. Are there any other tips that you might have for women looking to start their weight loss or health journey?
I think the biggest tip that I always give to everyone is just be good to yourself and allow yourself grace, like we talked about. This is the portion of grace that we're going to talk about, because I think we can get really hard on ourselves as women, and we can compare ourselves to others or think, well, I don't look like her, or I'm not as in shape as this person, or I'm not seeing the results I want as quickly, or we can get mad at ourselves because we cheated, or quote unquote cheated, oh my gosh, I fell off the wagon today. And I just want people to know, it is okay. You can even just start to make really small changes. Maybe the one change that you make this week is just that you cut out soda from your diet, or you cut out that one candy bar that you love to have, because I used to eat candy bars when I worked in an office all the time. So it was I had to cut those out. It was not good. Or maybe it's cutting back on that sugary latte, or, you know what I mean? There's tiny steps that you can make on a daily basis. And then over time, those become big steps before you know it, you've made major health changes. Because not everybody is all or nothing. You know what I mean? And that's okay.
You got to take it steps at a time, baby steps.
Yep.
It's Chris and I actually went to the Tony Robbins seminar this summer, and one of his speakers talked about it's 2 degrees of change. If you're trying to hit that hole in one, it's not that you need to completely do a 180.
Right.
It's not going to put you in the right direction. It's literally a 2-degree amount of change that helps create monumental effects for our life. And
Exactly.
I think sometimes as women, especially, we see, weight loss on this journey is this huge thing. I've got to completely empty out the fridge and start from scratch, and I've got to go from never working out to working out 6 days a week and like a monster. And it's no, just some little changes. Maybe, like you said, one goal this week is I'm going to get out and take a 10-minute walk, or I'm going to cut out the sugary lattes this week, or whatever it is, and those one change every week. I love that.
I basically gave you guys all the things, by the way, that I had to cut out in my life at some point. So everything I said is things that I was probably struggling with back in the day. But
you're if I can do it, then you can do it too.
Yeah, if I can do it, I know anybody can. And but I think overall, just giving yourself a little bit of grace and a little bit of leniency, and just don't compare yourself to what you're seeing, because you know what, everyone has a journey. Keep your blinders on, and you know what? Stay away from things that are toxic, and that might even be that if you're on a weight loss journey, maybe you got to stay off social media for a while, because I got to tell you, there's a lot of before and afters right now that are just amazing, and some people might get really inspired by that, and other people might feel like that's never going to be me, and that's not true. It can be you, but do what's healthy for you. So if it's healthy for your mind to stay off so you don't compare yourself and you can just love who you are exactly today, then do that.
Such great tips. I love that. I did want to briefly talk about your music. So a little bit behind that, how did you get started singing music, and tell me a little bit about your upcoming album.
Yes. Well, I was born singing. That's what my mother says. She said I was singing by 8 months. So that started that. And I was just always involved in music. That was my love and my passion and my calling. And so, over the years, I've had management contracts and production deals, and that's been awesome. And I finally just decided to get back into music about a year ago and start working on my album. And so I've got an album called Stimulate coming out. It is an R&B focus. It's R&B and pop. I mean, you're going to have some pop tunes in there as well. It's about love and relationships, and it's a good look at them. I think that there's so much that I've gone through in my life in relationships, and so much that I see my girlfriends going through in relationships. And a lot of people just don't talk about it, or they don't know how to talk about it. And I just think that every aspect should be explored and looked at and talked about. And I love every aspect of love. And, sometimes you get in a fight and you write a song about it. And then sometimes you have the best day of your life and you write a song about it. And, I just love and romance motivates me. And it always has. And I'm very much a romantic. And so, and I'm very passionate about music. And so for me, it's just an outlet. It's a creative outlet. And it's a way for me to kind of share stories of either myself or girlfriends in a really therapeutic way.
Yeah, music can definitely be very healing, and I think it connects us across cultures and beliefs and values, and it brings us all together in the world.
It does. And so this year, my album is going to come out, and the release date is, I'm not allowed to say the release date yet, but it's coming soon. So I'm really, really excited. And then the website and everything will be up and running. So it's very exciting time. This year is going to be really cool. And there'll be an overseas little tour that I get to do. And I'm just really, really excited for 2018.
That's amazing. Well, I will be on pins and needles waiting. I watched your Elusive music video this morning.
Oh, you're so sweet.
YouTube, so check that out to my listeners.
Yes.
And I did want to ask a couple of questions that I ask a lot of my guests. So I wanted to first find out, are there any current resources, things that are just inspiring you that you're loving right now? Whether it's a podcast, TED Talk, book.
I'm reading about, I gotta be honest with you, I've been traveling a lot lately, and so I haven't done a lot of things that I should. Music is usually my inspiration, I'll be honest with you. Usually when I travel, I may read something that's light and breezy, or I will listen to music because music just speaks to me. So there's so many musicians that I love. I could be here all day. But there is a book called Be the Cause, Healing Human Disconnect. I don't know why I love it, but it's by a lady named Judy Rosenberg, and I think it's fabulous. And I'm always about self-help and growing and becoming better and looking at myself, and if there's anything about myself that I want to change, kind of trying to figure out what causes something within a person to do what they do, and then work on it and change it. And really Be the Cause is what she's talking about, is going into what you've been through in your childhood all the way to now and saying, hey, what were the things that caused the disconnect for you, and then how do we heal that and bring you forward? And it's an awesome book, and I love it. So
I'll check that out. Sure.
Yeah.
What are your top 3 core values, and how do they dictate the decisions that you make in your life?
Oh, I had a whole list of things today. I was ready for this question, and now it just all went out. No, I'm just kidding. Passion. Doing things with integrity and passion for me is a huge core value. I feel like people get really stuck doing things that they don't love. And that can happen to me too, but I really try in everything that I do in my life that I love it and that I care about it and that it's going to make a change or impact other people.
That's great. And that's especially a lot of my listeners are, maybe thinking about starting their own business, or not just starting their own business, but maybe it's a nonprofit or
I think I lost. I lost you. Are you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can. We lost each other for a minute.
I will make a note to edit that at 25.
Yes, it froze. It just completely went. I didn't hear anything.
Okay.
I was probably still talking, so I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I got what all you were saying, and I said, okay. I think it's great to help inspire other listeners in that regard, people that might be thinking about starting their own business, but not necessarily just starting their own business, but even, your philanthropic efforts or things that excite you in your community, like find something you're really passionate about so you can stay motivated every day.
Absolutely, because you want to get up and do something you don't love, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So being a very passionate person, whatever that might be. So for me, I'm very creative. So whether it has to do with skincare and makeup or doing cooking something that's really creative or singing, anything that I do, whatever it is that I do, I want to do it because I'm passionate about it. But then on top of it, I want to do it well and with integrity. So I want to show up and do a really good job and be accountable and deliver what I say I'm going to deliver, no matter what it is. Even if it's just friends coming over for dinner and I said I was going to cook, you better know it's going to be a really good meal. You know what I mean?
Like, I'm not just swinging in and grabbing a veggie tray from the grocery store. Like, I'm going to bring something from home.
That's right. That's right. So those drive me a lot. And then obviously my faith, you know, I'm a believer, and so my faith in God drives everything that I do. And then just living life as authentically as possible. It's not easy to be authentic every day, and there's a lot of things that can really steer us off course. So authenticity is really important in the relationships that I have with people, and in everything that I do. I want to be really authentic to exactly who I am and not get steered off course ever.
I love that, and it's especially really important these days as we develop such a society that's based on what people see online so much with social media and the web and everything like that. It's hard to stay authentic. So I really appreciate that in you.
Exactly. Oh, you're so sweet.
And then my last question is something I've been asking all my guests, and this is very open to interpretation. So there's no right or wrong. You can go with any which way the wind blows you. But what does style and grace mean to you?
It reminds me of Grace Kelly, like old Hollywood glamour. I don't know. That's just what I think of when I hear style and grace. Like, I think about all the old Hollywood actresses that I just thought Tippi Hedren and Judy Garland, and I don't know. I just loved the style. Marilyn Monroe even. I know she was a little sexy, but I still liked her style. And I just think that that's what that means to me. But I think today's style and grace is also carrying yourself with dignity. And I think you can be stylish and sexy, but holding yourself with grace and making sure that you are still classy. That's what I'm all about.
Love that. Kind of reminds me of like Coco Chanel, like a woman should be classy and fabulous.
Yes, classy and fabulous all day long.
So where can my listeners find you? I mean, besides being in Texas, but where can they find you wherever they're at?
They can go to my Instagram page, and that's KJ55, or just look up KDJ, KATIEJAE. My website will be coming soon, and that'll be KDJ.com, so they'll be able to go there. And when that's ready, it'll be blasted on my Instagram. That's really that is the social media page that I'm on right now. And you can always Google Katie right now, just KATIE Elusive, and that song is available on iTunes, Amazon, any digital media outlet, title, it doesn't matter. You can find the song, and you can always go watch the music video. So
awesome. Well, I'm so glad that you agreed to come on today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I loved it so much. It was so fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining my podcast.
Hey ladies, thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoyed today's episode. To help empower more women, please be a doll and rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. For show notes and other free resources we mentioned today, go to stylebydeidra.com.